Greetings, welcome back to this podcast, a message to no one. So today I decided that I will be doing things a little bit different. I'll be telling a story of my life. But of course the topic for today is anything can happen, literally. Anything can happen. So this phrase is used by a lot of people out there, and I assume that you find it in all the cultures, different languages, and different part of the world. Anything can happen, but seemingly whenever somebody says that anything can happen, they are secretly aiming for a positive result. They are hoping for a positive outcome of life. But what I'm saying in this podcast is that anything can happen, literally, because life is unpredictable. We are dealing with something that is unpredictable and unknown, and also it is unknowable. But of course, this is not about telling people that, hey, you need to stop predicting your next move and making plans and all of that. All of those things are natural. All of those things are already perfect. So it's really not about teaching you anything. It's just, I'll call it an expression that just shows life as it is, and it actually an attempt to show life as it is, or to expose life as it is. As I'm saying, it is an attempt. It's because of what I already said, that it's unknowable. So I cannot claim to know, not even what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know any of these things that I talk about. But also part of the reason why I'm going to be using the story, telling a story of my life, told a story of experiences, is the fact that, when we speak from this non-duality message, the message that there is no control, there is no free will, that the separate individual identity does not exist. To some people, that might mean going mad. That might also mean that you actually do not have a life. So many questions arise. What do you do on your day-to-day life? What do you do? How do you interact with people around you? So all of those questions arise, and with that there is fear that also arises to say, okay, I seem to be resonating with this, but if I accept it fully, will I not get mad? Will I not lose everything that I am? What if I accept all of these, and then what happens to my life? What happens to all my goals that I have, all my desires, all my relationships? my interactions with people, all of those things, will they be affected in anyhow? and all of those questions are valid. It's valid questions. But it can also be seen that these questions arise from this illusion of self. It is self-identity that doesn't want to be lost. So it's the fear that comes from something that was never there in the first place. It is scared of dying, scared of vanishing from the surface of the earth. And the thing is, you are already not doing anything. So anything that you call your life, it's actually not yours, because you do not own anything here, because you are not here in the first place. So if you are not even there in the first place, how can you own anything? How can you have a life, a story? But anyway, because these things, the happening, the aliveness of life, this life that happens without any control, and what I'm speaking about today, that anything can happen literally, is that even in this character of me, anything can happen. The unpredictability of life still maintains itself even here, and there are many stories drawn from that. And when these stories are seen, that since they are created from the predictions of trying to see what is going to happen next and trying to be ahead, and these stories are created from that, they are always off. They are always inaccurate. They cannot touch what is, because what is, it's so spontaneous. It's the immediacy in this, that it's already what is. As we are speaking, it is already this. It is already what is. It is already listening. It is already speaking. It is already interpreting if there is interpretations happening. It is already thinking if there are any thoughts that arises. It is already that now. So the story that comes afterwards, it's late, and therefore it also inaccurate. But I'll tell a story. I'll tell a story nonetheless. So the story goes as follows. So a while ago, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, I think it's 3 and some weeks. So I had an interest to this beautiful, gorgeous Han. So it's not a matter of I had, because I still do have an interest to this lady. So we started talking via social media, and the conversation goes, when conversation flows, you end up going into calls, WhatsApp, and all of that. So all of those happened, and before you know it, we are speaking every day, and and then there are also arrangements to meet, because hey, this thing is happening. This thing is happening. So while all of that is happening, and it is predictions that always happen, with each and every conversation and with each and every encounter and all of that, and this prediction is always for something good, So yeah, when you ask for the number and they give you the number, so you're like, oh, okay, so they are also interested, and you also judge from the question they ask. Okay, oh, they are also interested in what I do in my life, and all of that, and therefore more predictions about what might happen in the future, which of course for me was that we are going to get into a relationship. Okay, so as the beautiful conversation that goes on every day, having somebody who worries about have you eaten, and all of those wonderful things, how was your night, and all of that, and they ask with interest, and so you're like, yeah, this is moving, and in this direction that I want. And then so we arranged for a physical meeting now. So we met we went to the restaurant, we met, and we had a beautiful conversation, and like, you're in person, this is a gorgeous lady, and the decency, the respect, somebody who has manners, and they are not, you can see that they are not only beautiful on the outside, but on the inside as well. At least that's what I perceived. And I kid you not, conversation was beautiful, and within the conversation, so it has to be told that, I have interest in you, and what I want is that I want us to be in a relationship, and I want us to be together and see how this goes. And it was received, with also decency, and so the response was, seeing that this is the first time that we meet, can you give it some time and see how it goes? And that was fair enough. And so even while that is happening, there are predictions about the future, that so the future looks bright. This is really happening. It's just a matter of time. And so, after the meeting, going out from to the restaurant and having that beautiful conversation. So we still maintain conversations, still maintain beautiful conversation, and it's like, if it was like somebody, as like, there are people who wouldn't want to hurt you, so they wouldn't say, no, I'm not interested, no, like in person, they would rather afterwards and just decide to delete your numbers and block you. We all have had those kinds of or we have had like stories about those kinds of situations where you just meet somebody once and instead of telling them in person that no, you know what, I don't think this will work, and you just pretend like everything is going well, and when you part ways, that is when you decide that, okay, I'm going to block this person. I will never speak to them ever again. But that didn't happen. So now if that doesn't happen, what happens? Predictions move on and the story continues. So there are predictions about this is really happening. It's just a matter of time. And like, why would we rush something this beautiful? So we don't have to rush, Yeah, so it is going well, I guess. But so what I'm speaking about is that anything can happen. So even beautiful things can happen, but also ugly things, bad things, things that are not so desirable, and of course things that are desirable. Sometimes we prefer more of the things that are desirable to us and forget that we are not the center of the story or in control of what is happening in the story. That is why anything can happen, because it's not us who decides on what is going to happen next. Anything can happen, literally. Okay, let me continue with the story. So the story continues, and so while it's those beautiful conversation and those like everything that shows that equally so we care for each other, and this is just a matter of time until that beautiful happening, that is a beautiful relationship that is just waiting to happen, just a storm that is about to happen. But a beautiful one. So while all of those was happening, and then these so we still speak about this, what we want to see, the relationship and all of that. So at one point we speak and the conversation is like, I've been thinking about, the lady was telling me that I've been thinking about the possibility of us being in the relationship, and I can't see it happening, and there were reasons. So one, I don't think I'm ready for this, and then two, now this one is the most important one to me. For me to be in a relationship with somebody, we need to be aligned in terms of what we believe in. Now, you guys know that if you have been following this podcast and even judging from this one, is that I do not have beliefs. I do not have beliefs. And the lady is full-on Christian. So she tells me that. So I don't think this will work because I'm a Christian, as you know that I'm a Christian, and you, on the other hand, I don't even know what you believe in. Like, I'm trying to explain. That's the thing. I don't believe in anything, and yeah. So we have this conversation, and it was very strange. It was very strange. Like, I think it's one of these things that I'm talking about, that the suddenness of this, that anything can happen. Like, it's suddenly this and suddenly that, and these things actually are not connected to another. That is why sometimes you'll find that there will be something that is that would happen, that will be pointing to this direction, while the prediction is that this is how things are going to be happening. Then suddenly something else happened that will be pointing to the other direction. So again, the predictions are always found wanting, and the story always has to twist. It's like there are always plot twists in this plot. Always. So that is what happened. So sudden in all of these beautiful conversations that have been had, and that one happened. And it's like, oh well. Anything can happen. Okay, so then after that, and I won't lie, I was shaken by that. I was like, yo, what do I do? What do I do now? Do I ever do anything? Because this is just life happening. But anyway, in the story, you get worked up, and you now have to find solutions. You have to do something about this. Anyway, like, then I think there is a reset somewhere, and we continue speaking as normal, I guess. So it goes on maybe for like few weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, no, 2 or 3. So it goes on like pretty normal. We checking on each other and checking how the day was, and all of that, like wonderful things. I feel like everyone loves to have a companion like that, like somebody who cares. So it was beautiful as that. And then and then the story goes on, and it gets to another twist where I get ghosted. Have you ever been ghosted? Because it happens. So the other day I call, and I get the response that the call is completely ignored. And normally for anyone, because I don't call people much, but if I do call, I don't. If it was a missed call, I don't make like many missed calls. So if it's just one missed call, that is fine. I know people always come back if they want to. Okay, so after some time, she does come back on WhatsApp to say, no, I was still busy with some friends, visitors, and yeah, so I guess we'll talk some other time. And then so after that, then there is a message that I sent, and there is no response afterwards. The end. Like, this is a simple story, and and really, in the story there is no laughing, there is like sweats, disbelief of what really happening. And because now, as the character, the story is always ahead, because there is always these predictions that are always there. Whenever something happens, there's a predictions of what is going to happen next, and when the next happen, there is no checking of what was expected. It's just, if it's something that is worse than what was expected, then there would be disappointments and all of those negative feelings, but if it a positive response, then that is where you don't really worry much about the story, about what the initial story was. You just continue with the story. It's like, the universe gave me more than what I wanted. These stories. Yeah. But part of this is that now, since there is no story anyway, and I'm saying there is no story because this exact situation, because there are two characters in this, and these two characters, they are not the ones who started this story. And they are not plotting in this story. If there is any twist, it has nothing to do with the control or the cause of the characters. The story is just happening. So there's no control of what is, and there's no control of the story either. It's just happening despite you. So another thing about the story is that this exact story could be told as something entirely different from the other side, the other character in the story, and that is completely fine. And it could be told that actually this guy did this and that and that and that and that, and those things are my deal breakers. Therefore, I decided to call it a quit, and that is also fine. Or it was, maybe there were some red flags flying there, and these red flags, they showed themselves to the lady, and there was a decision being made. But the fact of the matter is, no one makes decisions here. It's a story just happening. And if there are any plot twists, there could be plot twists, because anything can happen. Anything can happen in life. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I'm saying that hoping for a twist somewhere. Maybe let me make a promise. If there is any twist in this story, I will come back and tell it. But if there are no twists, and you know these twists and these, like, anything that could happen in this is that maybe the lady sees somebody else and they make them happy. Or maybe both of us, we find somebody else. Or maybe we get back together, and this time the lady says, yes, let us get into a relationship. But anything can happen. Anything can happen in the story. And these stories, seemingly real, they can shake you. I tell you, they can shake you. They can cause a whole lot of heartache and there could be crying. There could be all manner of reactions to this. Anything that is happening, anything can happen, and any reaction can happen, and any sort of anything can happen. If there is crying happening, crying because of losing somebody, then there is that. If there is calling non-stop, then there is that. If there is, like, stalking them using different social media, then there is that. So anything can happen. Anything can happen. Yeah, so anything can happen. So maybe there might be a plot twist, and I come back and tell anything that has happened. But the unpredictability of this, it's so unpredictable. It's crazy. Life is so unpredictable. I wouldn't have known that this would happen. I wouldn't have seen this coming. I would not have seen this coming. But it's the same as everything else. I cannot see it coming. I cannot see it coming. You can also look around you and look at the situations of life and tell me if you could see it coming. If you could predict exact same thing and have it happen to you. Yeah, so let me end it here. And if you listen to this podcast up until this point, thank you for listening. You do not exist anywhere. This is a message to no one.